How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a lovely day. So today we're watching this video titled "Why Becoming More American Cost Me Everything as an Asian." I think as a citizen of the United States, it's your responsibility to create a society that lasts, to create a society that's coherent, which this kind of anti-assimilationist kind of thing is always a bit icky, in my personal opinion, but I digress.
White my whole life, and here's what I lost in the process. But before that, let me tell you how this all started. So I was at a party, and I'm having a conversation with two friends, John and Josh, about Vietnam. Just came back from their amazing place. Anyway, Josh is the definition of like whitewashed Asian, like frat bro in college, barely speaks Viet, his native language, and like most of his friends, like he's very, very white. So I asked Josh, like, so you don't want to visit Vietnam at all? It's so lit. Josh's like, nah, screw that. It's just like family and stuff over there. And I don't even speak it well, man. I don't care, bro. Like, I'm a banana. Like, I'm just trying to go to Cancun, bro. And then John comes in, and John's like a polar opposite. Hard to read guy, tattoos all over. I think like Vietnamese guys like tattoos. But he's like ultra religious, like righteous, successful. And he's like,
I just want to put a reminder to people to those that are self-proclaimed liberal who would even consider this to be remotely liberal. This is nothing liberal. There's nothing liberal about this statement. This whole statement is fucking conservative as hell. I'm not saying conservatism is necessarily wrong. I'm just saying being hyper-religious doesn't help. In most cases, I don't really think you should, promote religious extremism. It can be religious. There's nothing wrong being religious, but being hyper-religious, I would say not very American, not very Protestant.
our go-to guy for advice. And John goes like, so why do you feel like you're a banana? And Josh goes like, I don't know, man. They just call me that. And I don't care, bro. I don't care about that. I ain't trying to be Viet, bro. I'm trying to find a white girl, okay? And John just goes like, so you're gonna pass on like Viet to your kid? And Josh goes like, nah, bro, I don't care. John goes like, what about your parents? Like, I know your parents don't speak good English. Like, how's your kid gonna communicate? And Josh goes, bro, it's fine. Like, I don't really care, bro. I'll translate. And Josh, if you're watching this, by the way, bro, I love you, but we just don't see eye to eye on this. But in my head, I just thought like, your mom and dad would probably really like to communicate with your son or your daughter.
Or here's a crazy thought. Maybe your parents are not retarded if his parents care about speaking Vietnamese to their grandchildren. Maybe they will try to teach Vietnamese to their grandchildren. Or maybe it actually doesn't matter because who cares? It's just language.
Because I mean, it's their grandkid. But even worse is you're gonna rob your kid the opportunity to have that relationship, to learn more about their culture and to understand their heritage.
I think robbing is a very extreme term. It's not like YouTube doesn't exist. It's not like you can't find Chinese people online. It's not like, if the kid really likes Chinese for whatever reason, they cannot learn Chinese. Guess what? You can learn Chinese anytime you want. You're a kid is an individual with free will and are able to make free choice, right? Like, why? Why do you have to make all the choices for your kid? That's silly. You can even make the same argument for like homophobia, right? It's like, as a matter of fact, for thousands of years, millions of years, every single generation were heterosexual. That's how you ended up here. And now you have a kid who's gay or lesbian. This would be like saying, oh, we have all this like amazing heterosexual heritage. How dare you being gay? It's the same logic. It just doesn't sit well with me because you're a kid. It's not you. And it's also not like, even though from the genetic perspective, it's the genealogy dates back or whatever. You also gotta understand, the kid is not like anyone who came before them. The kid is their own individual. If you're forcing them to learn Chinese, for example, maybe, just maybe you're robbing away their ability to learn Spanish, right? If your kid didn't learn Chinese at school, maybe they will choose Spanish as like the foreign language, and They will speak Spanish fluently even. Maybe they will move to Mexico or something. Who knows? Robbing is just a very extreme term. It's just you made a choice for your kid. I don't think that's robbing. And I think as parents, making moral negative claims are technically better than making moral positive claims. And most people that I know with, who struggle with their parents, typically had a lot of upbringings with tons of moral positive claims. What do I mean by moral positive? Is like, um, since something is good to do, um, such as like it's good to get married and have kids. It's good to learn your native tongue. It's good to stay in this religion. Most people that I know who had a problem with their upbringings typically have moral positive problems. You rarely see people complain about, well, when I was a kid, my parents didn't tell me what's the meaning of life, so I fucking hate them. I want them to die. Like, that rarely happens. That almost never happens. I'm not saying you cannot give, like, moral positive claims to your kid. I'm just saying, like, moral negative claims almost never go wrong. Because, like, when your kids grow up, they'll realize, oh yeah, I chose to learn Spanish in my high school because I choose it. Or maybe they choose to learn Chinese in their high school. It's like, yeah, I choose to connect with my heritage. Um, it's not, it's my choice. It's not something that my parents did. But if you did that choice for your kids, they'll like, if they just so happen to not like it will be like, oh wow, my parents forced me to go to Sunday school or whatever, and now I hate them. Which I think is very sad. I think you should like everything, right? All of those things. Um, be it religion, be it tradition, be it language. You can introduce those concepts to your kids, but ultimately, it really should be the kids who's making those decisions, and you shouldn't, as parents, you really shouldn't force your kids to do any of them.
Because you don't care. And so to Josh and anyone kind of like him, I want to share kind of like the 5 dangers of losing your Asian identity and heritage.
Or maybe it doesn't matter at all. It actually doesn't matter.
And these are thoughts that I wanted to share that night, but I couldn't because, I'm gonna be honest, it's hard to share when you're like a couple shots deep. Starting with, one is, you're never gonna be white, and you're...
This is actually, like, ironically, the claims that the actual racist, the actual racial segregationists would make, except this time it's somehow being used in a positive context. I don't know. I think like framing effect is really weird. A lot of people are just like fine with this kind of like blatantly racist claims. You can say, yeah, America is a white country in the sense that the institutions were founded by white people, and for most of the part, it's European institution, and the whole culture is a broad European culture. But I would say, like, for the longest time, the assimilationist view was that you can learn those values, you can participate in the government, you can be a member of the society without necessarily holding the same heritage. That's the liberal ideal, right? What matters is the content of the person, not the color of their skins, right? Yes, you're not gonna be white, but the title is not I cannot be white. The title is why becoming more American cost me everything. So at that point, you're defining Americanness as whiteness, which I think is a highly debatable claim, even though there are a lot of extremists now. But I think like most people would disagree on that claim. It's civil nationalism. It's not the fucking blood and soil kind of national.
Never gonna be viewed as white. See, I was a
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of strange. Maybe I'm just like too. I don't even know it's too old or too young. But back in my days, anti-racism means color blindness um and treating everyone equally and not caring about the skin colors. And also, let's be real. Do you really think about skin colors 24/7? Like, If you think about skin colors 24/7, you must have a very boring fucking life. The same goes for gayness. Like, if you talk about gay sex 24/7, you must have a very fucking boring life.
Complete banana growing up. I hated being Chinese. I wanted nothing to do with it. And I made sure always that my English was better. And I remember my
Oh my god, you failed that test. I'm telling you that, bro. Your English ain't that good.
basketball team, I'd always trash on being Chinese. Like, they'd ask me about my culture, and I'd be like, oh, yo, bro, it's just some, like, stupid Chinese shit, man. It's just, like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'd always trash my culture, trash my people, and trash
This is like the ridiculous collectivist not mindset of like, oh, every Chinese is like automatically a fucking hive mind. Like, but like Chinese culture is that like one singular giant blob of culture that's perfectly uniform, that's like perfectly equal. And if you just pick a Chinese out of that, like everyone's literally the same. Not just how racist that claim is. I don't even care about racism at this point. Let's be real. We all know he is a big time racist. But it's just how factually untrue that is. Claiming this kind of collectivist identity is always just factually wrong because intersectionality is real. Like, yeah, Chinese man, Chinese women, are Chinese men and Chinese women the same? Are Chinese people who grew up in China the same as Chinese people who grew outside of China? There are a lot of differences. I think there's also an undertone of, well, because it's quote unquote my culture, I have to somehow support it, no matter the cost, which is fun and silly because there are a lot of just horrible Chinese traditions. The fucking small feet, that's bad. And just because it's your culture and your parents did it, doesn't mean that you should do it. It's not good logic, it's just logically unsound.
on my language, hoping they'd accept me into, like, either the white sphere or the black sphere. But no matter what,
Like every time I watch this kind of video, I always just wonder how much of this is actually due to some kinds of racism and how much of it is due to the fact that you're just socially awkward and you have fucking autism. Because as a matter of fact, right, I grew up in the People's Republic and it's like all Asian, all Chinese, and even then, it's not exactly easy to make friends. I think like socially awkward people are just socially awkward. People like to blame racism on some really stupid fucking issues. Maybe you're just not sociable. Maybe you're. I'm sorry to bring that to you. Maybe people just don't like you because you kind of have a bland or trashy personality. Your whole character is just say, oh well, I don't like China. It ain't exactly character, isn't it?
but they always still viewed me as Chinese. And I know
Yeah, why not? Because you are Chinese. And that's fine. It's not like if you're Chinese, you can't play fucking basketball with them. It's not like fucking if you're Chinese, you have to drink from a fucking different fountain. And if that's what's going on, that is something that should be pushed back against, right? I don't really think fucking racially segregated fucking bus is a good idea. You're not, you're not white. You're not black. That doesn't mean that people can't grill meats together. That doesn't mean that people can't play basketball with each other. That doesn't mean anything.
because they referred to me as, like, their Asian N-word, and they still always ask me about anything
I feel like if someone is saying, call you like a Asian N-word, they're pretty friendly, right? Especially in like if you're playing with like the black people. That's like a pretty, friendly way to address their friends, I think.
Asian. I wasn't accepted or really viewed as one of them. It always felt like I had to claw my way into their inside jokes, which
That's called being socially awkward. I remember not being particularly sociable. Even now, I am not particularly sociable. And also, like, school is just kind of a trashy place to socialize when you really think about it. I feel like it's easy to blame race. I don't think blaming race solves any problem or brings in anything of value to the discussion.
I couldn't always relate to because I was Chinese. I wasn't cooler in their eyes for trashing my culture. I wasn't closer to them by trashing my culture, and I wasn't shaking off the fact that I'm Chinese by trashing my culture. Instead, I was just a weird Chinese guy who always trashed in his culture. What I realized is that even if you speak perfect English, you adopt the perfect accent to fit in with the group, you're still always going to be viewed as who you really are, which is an Asian person. And there's like
If you have some other things going on for you. If you're good at drawing, people will remember you as that kid who draws in the class. If you do whatever, if you play games that's like really good, people will remember you as the person who's really good at video games. People remember you as the Asian kid because Asian kid is your whole character. Trashing on Asian culture is your whole character. It seems to me that, like, just based on what he has mentioned so far, it seems like he has nothing. He doesn't have any personality besides being Asian who hates his own culture. I don't want to suspect too much. I think that the major cause for that is like you are kind of a bland character. You're kind of unassuming. I'm sorry to bring that to you.
Like multiple studies and experiences proving this, right? They look at you based on your like visible racial features, no matter how much you try and assimilate into a different culture. And when I realized this, and
Most groups are not based on race. Most clubs, friend groups they are based on some kinds of shared identity. Maybe it's like book reading, you have like book reading club, right? Maybe it's like drawing, it's like art club. Maybe it's like a sports club, right? You play basketballs together. Most groups are based around a shared identity. Race is just one of them. I'm pretty sure there are like other groups and other identities that's more interesting than your fucking skin color. Notice that he didn't say, he tries to play basketball with like the people who play basketball. He specifically said he was trying to play with a white kid. What? That's exactly what a racist would say. Like, race matters in some limited context, but I don't think it matters for most hobbies and most friend groups. It's just stupid to suggest that.
realize that, I'm never gonna be white. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still gonna have girls say like, yo, I don't like Asian guys, even if like I was at that time very far from your typical Asian guy.
That is one part where I do think race matters. Because let's be real, people have beauty standards. I don't necessarily think having beauty standard is a bad thing. I guess that's one part where it kind of matters. But at the same time, it's not a race. I'm pretty sure even if you're white, there's a great chance a fucking nerdy guy with big glasses are gonna be rejected by girls. Because why not? Like, seriously, why not? There's no reason why, like, females should be like the fucking anime, right? Just be attracted to protagonists for no reason. Most people are not attracted to most people. That's just a matter of fact. Like, very few people are attracted to, like, very few. Only the extremely few minorities that are actually attracted. You can blame your race for that, but I think that's just a general experience. Like, because I can't do race mixing, I have to like fucking push my big chink agenda everywhere. It's silly, man. Grow up.
It really made me reflect on what does being a banana costed me. And by the way, if you don't know what banana is, banana basically means like yellow on the outside, white on the inside. You guys know who Chris Paul is? He's a black NBA player. I grew up really into basketball, and one story that always resonated with me was his story. In high school, Chris Paul's grandfather was murdered, rest in peace, at 61. Him and his grandpa, they were really, really close. His grandpa was, as he called, his best friend. And the day after the murder, Chris Paul scored 61 points. Which, by the way, if you don't play basketball, is a lot of freaking points. It was so many points so that he was actually 6 points away from the state record, but he intentionally missed a free throw and then asked to be subbed out of the game as soon as he hit 61.
6 points away from the state record for most points in a game. But as he walked to the foul line, that didn't matter. 61 did.
I walked to the free throw line, the referee gave me the ball and shot an air ball right out of bounds. And my coach took me out. I just looked at my dad and started crying.
It's like everything came out of him. He just walked over to me and gave me a hug, and he just fell in my arms. And that's when it just tore me up,
He didn't want a point more than that. Why was that? Well, Chris Paul didn't score 61 to set a record. He scored 61 to honor his grandfather, a point for every year of his grandfather's life. It was a really beautiful moment for Chris and his dad, and you're probably wondering, what the hell does this story have to do with being a banana? As a kid, I remember hearing that story as I watched NBA, and I really resonated with that story. Not because I related though, but it's because I didn't. Growing up, I never had that relationship with my parents, let alone my grandparents. They never watched one of my basketball games. In fact, they didn't even know that I liked basketball. And growing
That's extremely chic, I would say. It's just the part of Chinese culture that's really fucking toxic. But I think like the really dangerous part of that style of parenting is those kind of parents will will vote for a lot of policies that are very authoritarian in nature, such as, requiring ID cards to do age verifications to watch fucking YouTube. If your parents don't know that you like basketball, maybe that's also an issue of your parents or even your entire heritage.
up as a kid, I always looked at white families and black families, anyone who wasn't Asian, and I'd be like, why was there such an intimate, close relationship between children and parents and children and grandparents? And
Maybe you're Chinese, maybe not having that strong of a relationship between generation is a very Chinese thing. Maybe that is a very Chinese thing.
at the time, I just thought, Asians are different, but it's actually too easy of an answer. See, a lot of my friends from China have amazing relationship with their families. This is not like a Asians or strict parents problem, but this is actually more of a banana problem. Because if
No.
I really think about it, what did the white families, the black families, and the Chinese family from China have that I didn't have growing up? Well, studies show that the ability to communicate in your native language strengthens family bonds. It makes a lot stronger emotional connection. So I guess
Did your parents not speaking English or what? I guess as long as you can communicate, it's fine, right?
communication is the biggest factor to connection, because half the time my grandparents spoke, I didn't understand. Anytime I wanted to express something beyond, I'm hungry, I couldn't. Because when my grandparents passed away, instead of wanting to dedicate a basketball game to them, I felt nothing. Like someone I barely knew passed away. And I remember
Yeah, maybe you actually just barely knew them. I mean, I barely knew my grandparents. And it's fine. I think like most Chinese kids growing up in China either know their grandparents better than their parents or know their parents better than their grandparents. Because guess what? Families don't fucking live together anymore. You only meet them at most once or twice a month. How the fuck are you supposed to have a close relationship with someone who's practically a stranger by all intents purpose? Saying, are you actually telling me that the fucking DNA, that the fucking skin color, that the fucking strands of like that the bloodline matters? So that bloodline just instantly brings you fucking joy, knowing that, oh my god, that motherfucker share DNA with me. That's ridiculous. I don't really think that's how most people think. It's not that deep. If you live with your parents, if your parents talk to you on a daily basis, you will be closer to your parents. If your grandparents talk to you on a daily basis, you will be closer to your grandparents. If you are like most Chinese, growing up in China, who are being forced, taken away, by the state or taken away by the institution to the school and are only able to talk once or twice to your parents, yeah, you're gonna have a shit relationship with your parents because like it's not that deep. That's just how humor works. That has nothing to do with like your native tongue or whatnot. Somehow saying that people in China just have like this wonderful relationship with their parent. I think those are the minorities because the systematic structure of the Chinese education system has decided that most Chinese kids are going to have horrible relationship with their parents because they're practically being taken away by the education institution when around the middle school and high school, which I always find to be really, really sad.
watching my parents grieving and feeling bad. I felt bad that I didn't feel anything for someone who meant as much to my dad as my dad does to me. Let that sink in for a moment. Because being a banana does lead to happier family relationships, which actually leads me
Why the hell is it the kid's responsibility, like a fucking kid that's like fucking 12? Why is it the kid's responsibility to be more mature and to like to learn a second language instead of the parents, trying to just talk with the kids in English? Why not the other way around? Why the fuck is it the kid's responsibility to learn 2 fucking languages? That's silly.
My next point. Who's really impacted when the banana stays a banana? I mean, if the banana can barely speak their language, I mean, what are the odds their kid is going to be able to? And Josh, you're probably thinking like, screw it, I'll just throw them in Viet school, it'll be fine. But, I went to Chinese school. You went to Viet school. I could barely speak Chinese growing up. On top of that, our parents spoke to us our native language.
Just based on my experience, right? I feel like a lot of people a lot of Asian kids who grew up in the States are in fact able to speak Korean or Japanese. Why is that? Maybe, just maybe, cultures are not the same. Maybe some culture are actually just not that cool. Maybe some culture are actually just kind of cringe. Maybe sending your kid to a racially segregated school is not a good idea. Like, again, I have to stress, the people who went to the Viet school or the people who went to a Chinese school went through a racially segregated school. That's why they have these racist ideas. They're racist because they had a racist education. They had a racist upbringing. I mean, you can provide the racist education to your kids however you want. But I think that is the exact reason why Vietnamese culture and Chinese culture are more cringe, because they're kind of racist.
Language. Your child's parents, you, are probably going to speak to them in English. So what really happens to the next generation of banana? The language and the culture dies.
Or, have you heard of this magical thing called immigration? Maybe if you want your kid to be able to speak Chinese or Vietnamese, maybe you can go back to your country. I don't know, like, why go back to your country is somehow viewed as a racist thing to say. It's not. It really isn't. Why don't you just let your kid have elementary school, middle school in China, and then your kids will be speaking fluent Chinese, and you can speak English at home with them, and you can bring them to the States for high school and university, right? And then you just have a bilingual kid. It's not like Vietnamese and Chinese are fucking in danger. It's not like if your kid doesn't speak fucking Chinese or his kids don't speak Vietnamese, the whole language of Vietnamese is going to collapse, or the whole language of Chinese is going to collapse. Because I don't really think there's a thing as Chinese. Most Chinese people growing up in China don't know how to write traditional Chinese. Just go around and see how many pepper you can see around China. That's how you know Chinese people don't really speak Chinese, or how many Chinese people are confusing the character of cloud and say. They're 2 fucking characters. The mainlanders don't know. Because guess what? Languages change. Time change. Even without the Chinese simplification shit, the Chinese from 300 years ago, it's not the same language as what we have today. They have different grammar, they have different syntax, they use a different character set. The same goes to Vietnamese. They gone through the whole Latinization thing. Maybe conservative is not a real position. Maybe conservative is just trying to keep the status quo indefinitely. It's not a good idea because the world changes, and the fucking grammar, the letters, the poets, the sound are fucking trivial and minor and doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things.
What kind of relationship does a banana have with their grandparents? And who's impacted by that? How does it play out for the child of the banana if they don't know how to communicate with their culture?
Go back to your country. If you like your culture, quote unquote, your culture so much, why don't you go back to your country? Because you recognize, at least at some level, the institutions of a lot of Asian countries are shit. And what culture created those institutions? Maybe your culture is not perfect, despite some blood link, it is despite some genetics. Maybe genetics. It's not a very good thing to have your entire personality based on.
with their grandparents, with your parents. And something I struggle with. I mean, my girlfriend speaks Mandarin. I mean, I speak Mandarin. And I know my kid is gonna be able to speak Mandarin English, for sure. But how am I gonna make sure my kid can speak Cantonese with my parents? And I get stressed thinking about it, to be honest.
Maybe it's your parents' responsibility. Maybe it's not your responsibility to teach your kids Cantonese. If it's your parents' problem, let them worry their problem. Because guess what? Just like your kid, it's not you. You as an individual, it's also not your parents. Don't borrow other people's problem. Virtually everything that is wrong about the world has something to do with someone who are worried about some other people. So they introduce like a bunch of really stupid collectivist solution, which always ended up backfiring. Maybe you can ask your parents if they want to teach their grandchildren Cantonese, and if they are willing to, let them teach it. Why do you have to teach it?
Honest, because
And also, like, how selfish it is to force your children to learn 3 separate languages. But yeah, like seriously, for what? Like, what utility does it have? Except for this like really arbitrary standard of heritage, I guess. I can see very, very little utility in doing that. I'm not saying heritage doesn't matter. I'm not saying, the history and culture and people don't matter. It's always a problem in the question of degree. And I feel like learning Chinese is a huge ass endeavor. I had a full Chinese education. My entire education happened in the People's Republic. It took me like however many years, all the way to high school, for me to be like half decent at reading and writing Chinese. All the way to high school, Chinese is not an easy language to learn. And now you have to force your kids to learn Cantonese as well. Are you gonna teach them both the simplified Chinese and the traditional Chinese? Maybe it's cool that you will be able to pass on this heritage, whatever that means, which I'm pretty sure it's gonna look very fucking different 300 years from now. Is that a good enough reason to force your kid to learn 3 separate alphabets, 3 fucking languages, and offers precisely 0 job aspects? Like, what's the point of learning those things when the translators, the AI translators, are getting better by the day? Seriously, for real, like, if the kids want to learn their native tongue, you can offer them an opportunity, but you should not dictate what languages they're gonna learn. It's torturous. I would say it's like child abuse to force your children to learn 3 fucking languages at the same time. That's a stupid fucking idea.
It's like an absolute non-negotiable for me. Like, I'll move to freaking Hong Kong if I have to. And so that's what made me want to stop being banana. See, I want to do family vacations with my kid and my parents and not make my
Oh yeah, so see, he's actually saying I'm gonna go back to to my country. I mean, props to you, I guess. But still, what's the point of learning 3 languages? Like, seriously, the only argument that he can provide is, oh, so that my kid will be able to talk to my grandparents again, which again, I assume his grandparents, his parents, are capable of speaking English. It's not like the kids are not gonna understand them. And also, like, if the opposite is true, which is if the parents don't speak English, maybe the parents should learn some fucking English if they're living in the United States long term.
parents feel left out because they're talking English. I don't want my kid to sit confused about what's happening when I speak to my parents in Cantonese, and I don't want my kid to grow up walled off from their culture, their heritage, and I mean their freaking family, because that's what happens to the next generation of a banana.
Or they can make friends outside of the family. Maybe we can stop doing this like weird incest thing where like everything that matters to you and everything that's meaningful, like all the meaningful people to you have to come from the same fucking heritage. That's a bit fucking racist and also like a bit silly. Because what if your parents are actually not that good? What if you, as a person, is actually rather unsufferable? There's a non-trivial chance that my kids are going to find me to be an insufferable person, and just like how I find my parents to be rather unsufferable sometimes. What if when that happens? I don't really think like encouraging kids to form relationship within the family is necessarily a good thing. I think it's possible, like, kids should make friends outside the family more. Because, like, the experience and, like, the thoughts and diversity that's within the family is always somewhat limited compared to the greater outside world.
Because when I think about my parents and their journey, how they came to a new country and left behind everything for a better future, yet they made it a priority to preserve our culture, our traditions, and our language. They didn't have to, but I smile when I think about it. Every Chinese New Year where I'd say those magic 4 words, Kong Hei Fa Choi, and get those little red envelopes. Every time my sister and I would eat a mooncake, even though they never really tasted good. Every time my mom makes us do some random feng shui stuff, and we don't really know why. And even when I was an extreme Chinese hating banana, those are moments of my childhood that I'm really glad my parents made an effort to share with me, because those are moments from their childhood that meant a lot to them, and that they
I was wondering, like, what with my kids, assuming I will have some. I'm not sure if I will. But like assuming I have a family, like, I would probably still go to fucking anime convention. I would probably still watch anime. Will the kids somehow feel like there's an obligation to watch fucking anime? I mean, it would be nice that my kids watch anime. But at the same time, I don't really think my kids should be, like, felt obligated into watching anime. That's a weird obligation to fulfill. Just like it's a weird obligation to fulfill, like learning how to do feng shui stuff, because like most people in China today, I don't think most of them know how to do feng shui. That's not a thing that people do.
felt were important enough to pass down to me. And the reason those traditions are still here today is because
I don't think they felt important enough to pass down to him. I think it's just a thing that people do. It's just like, I watch anime, and when I have kids, I will probably still watch anime. I will probably bring my kids to watch anime with me as well. It doesn't mean that I think it's important though.
my whole life. They're moments of Chinese culture and heritage that our people have deemed important enough to
Yeah, again, our people's our nation, isn't it? It's always collectivist.
pass down for
I mean, to some extent, I think I would be lying to say I'm like, fully like a cultural, a political, a anything. I think there are things that I do care. There are things that I do wish to be able to pass down to the next generation. Liberalism, for example, is something that I care a great deal about. I wish liberalism to survive when it's actively being attacked left and right. Quite literally. I wish it's something that will be able to preserve. I think it's a more important ideology than your fucking skin color and fucking superstitions that doesn't work. Like, liberalism actually fucking works. It's not like fucking superstitions of like fucking feng shui. Like, who the fuck care about feng shui? It's fake. The Chinese New Year, the money. Like, dude, what year is it? Everyone's using credit card. Like, no, you cannot pass down that tradition, no matter how much you wanted to. And also, it's not that long of a tradition, isn't it? Like, how long have people have like fucking fiat currency? For most of the part of Chinese history, there weren't any fiat currency. So stop pretending as this is somehow like an ancient tradition. It's not. Fiat currency is recent. I think aesthetic matters. The aesthetics matter. I think it creates meaning, it creates value, but it's not. It by itself is not true. It has no substance. It's just like clothing styles. It's styles. It's not clay. I feel like even today, like, I feel like in some ways, like today, me recording this video is I'm trying to keep something for the next generation. It is me, despite how the political climate has changed a lot in the past decades or so, still wanting that the world to be a more color blinded place, a place that facilitates more international cooperations, and less weird in-group preferences. I just think like those traditions are trivial traditions. They're also not even real traditions, let's be real. Like those are pretty modern inventions for most of the parts. Like the simplified Chinese has only existed for like 50 years or so. Like my grandparents used a different alphabet compared to what I had in my textbook, so like go figure. Like the traditions feel so fake. Is what I'm trying to say. Like you guys, oh, but that's so like traditional. Like, is it though? Like this is fucking plastic. It's a bunch of fucking plastic. From what is the difference between this and like I don't know, like watching people do the same thing on YouTube? Like it's not like people will lose access to this. It's not like this is anything traditional. It's fucking plastic. There's nothing traditional about fucking plastic Chinese dragon. I don't know, like sometimes those claims are just so fundamentally silly. It almost makes me mad.
Important enough to pass down for centuries. And so what happens when the banana chooses to stay a banana is that it dies. Like what's my
What?
banana kid gonna do? Like go to my parents and say like, God,
You don't need to pass down a heavily air-quoted tradition that's shared by 1.4 billion people. There are 1.4 billion people. Even if like the fucking Chinese, the chinks just stop having kids, the fucking birth rate like just fucking go down. It's 1.4 billion people. If you're gonna be a collectivist, be a full collectivist. This collective identity, known as the Chinese, are gonna disappear in the next 300 years. It's gonna change a lot for sure. And you cannot pass it down. And also, but it's not gonna disappear. It's gonna be here 300 years from now, 500 years from now. I'm not sure about 1,000 years, but like 500 years, very likely. You, as an American, first and foremost, an American, it's not your moral responsibility to spread fucking Chineseness. There's a country known as China. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I know like Americans tend to believe there's only one single country on this entire earth. There's a country known as China. China exists. It's not your real responsibility. Especially when it's a cheap fucking plastic dragon that's not historical, that's not based on anything, that doesn't have any significant value. It's plastic dragon. I think that there's nothing more appropriate to sum up all of it. It's plastic dragon. It's fake. It's not valuable. It doesn't refer to anything of essence. It's a lesser kind of culture than something that's more substantial, that actually refers to something. It means much less than Christianity. There's no doctrine, there's no philosophy, there's no meat in all of that. There's pure aesthetic, and that's it. And the aesthetic is plastic dragon.
Hey fat choi in terrible Chinese. My parents' efforts, the efforts of every single person before them, generations of history and culture that makes us unique, that separates us from, you know, like Thanksgiving turkey and 4th of July keggers, gone, right? And
why not? Why not celebrating the 4th of July? Why not? Or why not have your own tradition altogether? I know like a lot of families have their own tradition, like actually their own tradition, like vegan Saturday. Something. The entire family would just be vegan on Saturday. Why this? Why plastic dragon? It doesn't refer, again, my issue is, it doesn't refer to any.
when I imagine my childhood without that, it doesn't feel right. And if I would imagine taking away those from my kid, which I would be doing by staying a banana, I'd be robbing them of the opportunity to understand their heritage.
Or you can give them a new heritage. Maybe there's something better than plastic dragon.
and their roots. I'd basically be disconnecting them from everything my parents fought to keep alive. To Josh specifically, have you ever met like a 5th generation Asian American? They all say the same thing.
Yeah, my parents didn't pass it down to me.
They always say that. You are banana right now. And if you
You know what I would say to those people? Duolingo exists. If you want to learn your quote-unquote native tongue, which I'm not sure if it's even real. Which again, even if I'm Chinese, my parents share different native tongues. But there's literally nothing stopping your kids from learning Chinese. And also again, there's literally nothing stopping your kids from going back to Asia. Maybe not China. What about Singapore? What about Malaysia? Those are real places that they can go. Maybe they don't have to stay in America. Have you heard of the wonderful concept known as immigration?
choose to stay that way, your kid's gonna end up the exact same. And when you're so disconnected from your culture, from your heritage, from the opportunities it can bring, I mean, we all know what happens, right? It's the reason why I said earlier, I realized I'm never gonna be white. Because what I found is that the more I tried to assimilate into a culture that wasn't mine, the less connected I felt to who I truly was. And I know from
You motherfucker went to an all-Chinese school. You assimilated your mom. You went to a racial segregated school. Bruh.
experience, there's this constant identity struggle between trying to fit into like a Western world and still feeling like an outsider. Feeling too whitewashed for the Asians, but too Asian for the Western world. And like I said, I mean, I'm never gonna be white, and I'd hate for my kid to feel trapped.
Again, the best way to solve that is to be something that is greater than your skin color, which, again, it's a pretty low bar. Like, if you have anything that's actually going for you in your life, you will be known for something that's more than your fucking skin color. Like, you have to be an extremely bland person. They have nothing going for you than your fucking skin color. It has to be a really fucking shitty life. You don't have a personality outside of your skin color.
Like that. If you've ever met like a 5th generation Asian American, like their like parents are Asian, their grandparents are Asian, you know, whatever, they always say the same thing. Yeah, no, my parents never taught me. Yeah, no, I mean, we've never like.
Yeah, 5 generations of racial segregation without any kind of contamination from different races. I don't know about that, bro. They don't care, right? Like, those people don't care. If they actually care, if like once it's lost forever. You know, you can pick up the lost stuff again, right? Maybe the kids, you know, find some like Korean shit to be like really cool, and they start watching K-drama, and they just like start learning Korea on their own. Or maybe some like Japanese, like 5th generation Japanese, they find like anime to be cool. They just like start watching anime and start learning Japanese. Or like, you know, some Chinese, some Chinks just like find like CCP propaganda as like just become like a full-blown Marxist, and they start like learning Chinese and whatnot. It's not like those things can't happen, right? The only reason why it's not happening is they don't really have good pop culture. I'm sorry to bring that to you, but Cantonese culture kinda sucks. I mean, there used to be like a Hong Kong culture. Oh, I guess what? When you have like gigantic cartels that's been dominating everything, and that has like a really shitty culture, and guess what happens? You just don't have good media, and if you don't have good media, you would just start losing your culture. It's just your culture kind of sucks.
Really done any of like the Chinese New Year stuff.
Yeah, your culture is kind of like a plastic dragon. It's not quite modern. It's not quite traditional. It's nothing. It's an ugly mixture that doesn't point to any real direction. And that's what I hate the most about this kind of people. They are being conservative for the sake of being conservative. I don't know what is so important about your fucking skin color and your blood. It doesn't matter. And also pushing for that is detrimental to the society. You don't want to live in a society where everyone is pushing over through their fucking bloodline. That doesn't sound like a very enjoyable society to live in.
As like my my family isn't like that Chinese. It's always awkward for them. Because for me, when I found that Asian side, that love for my culture, my identity, that's when I truly built a true sense of belonging. Like not just with my family.
There's always something really off-putting about race mixing. I feel like I feel like Chinese people deserve more space, and there are like too many people that non-Chinese are taking over too much space.
But with myself. When I finally stopped being a banana, when I made the decision to reconnect with my culture, my language, and my family, everything started to change. My career opened up. I mean, I traveled to China and did a freaking speech this year. I've met childhood idols that I can only dream of meeting. And I have such a rich relationship with my family, with my parents now. And I don't
Really? Your parents disowned you because you speak English with them, or what?
feel like the Chinese guy in a room full of strangers anymore. I feel whole. I feel like my
I feel like I'm a Chinese guy who's who's in a room full of Chinese. Just imagine the white person made the same video, right? It's like, oh my god, imagine like, as an Aryan, there are like too many colored people around. It makes me feel like too many strangers. But finally now I'm able to connect with my white heritage, my amazing heritage of being white. And then finally be able to connect with like other white people, enjoy. I even gave a speech at a white club full of white people. I finally feel be able to connect to a heritage. I feel so white. Imagine a white person said the same thing. Like YouTube will definitely censor this whole fucking video. But somehow, by the magic of being a colored ultra-mention, he has the non-white privilege of being able to say things that are obviously racist, and that's just really extremely fucking toxic to society as a whole. Why? Why is this even allowed? Sure, if YouTube is putting those restrictions on, white people being white nationalists, I think people should put same kind of restrictions to people that are actually just Chinese nationalists. They want a Chinese nation. They want Chinese culture forever. And they want Chinese culture because it's their culture. That's literally the only reason that he gave for the entire video. There's no justification about why Chinese culture is good. There's no like justification of like, oh yeah, because like the Chinese philosophy has XYZ advantage. No, it's just, oh, it's my culture, so it's fucking good. It's ridiculous. Imagine anyone else trying to use the same lines of logic. Even Christian apologists don't do this anymore. Again, what is so good about being Chinese? His entire video is like, oh, it's my in-group. I love my in-group. I love people who share the same skin color as me. And also, by the way, I went to a race-segregated school, and I like Plastic Dragon and emotional music playing. Seriously, what is this?
myself. And let me tell you, once I fully embraced who I am, my perspective on the world.
Once I fully embrace that I am Aryan master race, my perspective on minorities changed significantly.
World and my place in it changed entirely. I started
Yeah, once I embrace my whiteness, once I embrace my Aryan heritage, my perspective on the world and my place, and it changed entirely. Just imagine a white person said the exact same thing. Why is your skin color matter to your place in the entire world? Your skin color made you 1 in 1.4 billion. That's about the least special thing that you can be. 1 in 1.4 billion, ladies and gentlemen. 1 in 1.4 billion. That really changed my perspective. I'm so proud of being a group of 1.4 billion people. I can't even believe like how I wasn't being extremely proud of being a minority group that has 1.4 billion people. What a oppressed minority that has 1.4 billion people. Am I right? What the fuck is this shit?
to realize that like being Chinese isn't a burden, it's a gift. The culture
Being white is not a burden, it's a gift. Being Aryan is not a burden, it's a gift. Being Aryan is a gift. It's a privilege to be white, you know?
culture, the values, the community. It's a foundation that supports me every single day. And I absolutely love the way I can just connect with a random stranger immediately just because we're building.
I can connect with a random stranger immediately just because we are white. my brother in Confucius.
Chinese. And on top of that, one of my favorite things to do now, remember when I was a kid, I would always be like, it's just some Chinese shit. No, like right now, my favorite thing to do is to share Chinese culture with people who have never experienced it. Like it brings me so much joy. And I just think like back to that kid in high school who like would see a Chinese restaurant and be like, nah, yo, it's just some Chinese shit. Let's get some burgers, man. I think back to that kid and I'm like, wow, like thank God I'm not that kid anymore. Because it's not just about me anymore. It's about my future, my family, and passing down that legacy. And I care about
Because the purest blood of the Qing, the Chica Chin blood is really important to me. The skin color matters so much. Oh my god. Do you know how special it must feel to have a skin color? Can you believe it? It must feel really special to be able to connect to your skin color.
making sure I give my future kid the opportunity to connect with my parents. And for me, that's
I honestly don't care about your kid. I care about the nation. I care about the country. I care about the humanity as a whole. It's using like the most trivial, like pure authentic part of the quote-unquote, again, heavily air-quoted Chinese culture. That's just a plastic dragon. Like, what's the point? Seriously.
priceless. And I'm not just speaking Mandarin and Cantonese for business or for travel. I'm speaking it because it connects me with my roots, to my family's story, and to the greater community I belong to. And that's what happens when the banana chooses to stop being a banana. See, before I was stuck between two worlds, but what I realized is that when you embrace your heritage, you no longer have to choose between two identities. You get to embrace both. And when I stopped being a banana, I didn't just gain fluency in a language, I gained a deeper connection to myself. I gained my family's respect and my own respect.
Imagine living in a family where they won't respect you unless you will be able to learn the language. And now he's gonna pass the same bullshit down to the next generation. And if these kids don't speak Cantonese and Mandarin and English, like 3 languages at the same time, he's gonna be mad. Imagine living in that household. And also, by the way, you still have to learn other like secular stuff. You still need to learn math, physics, chemistry, and English, of course. Imagine that. I don't know, like, by what metric are you saying this is better? Like, why is it better, like, necessarily better for your kid? Letting them learn 3 languages and think they're disappointment if they don't learn that? I don't know, man.
And I started to understand that the more I embrace my culture, the more I find peace in who I am. And most importantly,
The more I embrace how white I am, the more I find peace in my life. Every day I wake up, just think, being white, being Aryan is such a gift. I praise God every day and night, thanking Him for letting me be white.
I found my place in this world. Not as an outsider, not as someone trying to fit in, but as someone who's proud to be exactly who they are. So what I would tell my younger self, who was so anti-Asian, is I encourage you to think about what you're really missing out on. Think about the opportunity to connect with your heritage, your family, your values, and even your future. Once you stop rejecting your identity, that's when you start truly living. And it's so worth it. All right, that's it for today's video.
I guess I just never had it quite of the same issue. I think I always had the opposite issue, which is like a lot of things that I personally don't like are being forced down to me. And I think a lot of Chinese people can relate to that. Like, Chinese is not a language to learn. The writing system is messed up. We need to change that for the betterment of the next generation. And every time when I bring up, maybe we should Latinize Chinese, and people are like, no, you fucking Marxist. You're trying to destroy our beautiful ancient culture. How dare you? Then again, we had simplified Chinese, which result in both Chinese people in China don't really know how to speak Chinese, and also Mandarin Chinese isn't really Chinese. But I guess we just have to pass down this arbitrary heritage for some fucking reason. And also be really proud of being one of the 1.44 billion. 1.4 billion people. 1.4 billion. I get like dislike bombed every time. I'm kind of mad actually, but whatever. I think that's low enough for today's video, and I hope you're having a lovely day, and see ya.